Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to episodes of Cold Tapes early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Hi, here's your report.
Thanks, Jane. I wish I could hire a whole team of yous.
Try posting a job on LinkedIn. It's the world's largest professional network. Unlike resumes, LinkedIn gives a real-time view into a candidate's skills, experiences, and more.
Huh, let's do it. You're irreplaceable, Jane, but another you would be great.
Find your perfect match with LinkedIn. Post your free job at linkedin.com/achieve. That's linkedin.com/achieve. Terms and conditions apply.
At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Are you okay, Mark? Do you want to stop? Detectives, can we take a break?
Who did you trust, Mark? Mark? Who was it you trusted? Did you trust Maria?
No. Why are you even bringing her into
Mark
this?
Drew hurt her badly, didn't he? She thought she could trust him, but he humiliated her in front of everybody. Made a commitment to her, then betrayed her.
No, she loved him. And it's absolutely broken her that he's gone. So, no, she's like just a fucking nice person, and I won't have you put her through any of this.
Yeah, well, that's not your choice, Mark. It's not up to you. If she did this, then you need to tell me.
I am fucking telling you, she didn't have anything to do with this. And I can fucking prove it.
Then who was it, Mark? How can you prove it? You can tell me. Mark, you need to tell me. If it wasn't you, then who was it? Who killed Drew?
And he tricked me from the fucking beginning. He must have been watching me and waiting for his moment.
Who tricked you, Mark? Who killed him?
It was Jack. It was fucking Jack.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. Okay, listen, I need you to talk me through it. I need to know everything that happened.
I think he planned it from the very beginning.
Okay, tell me everything. Tell me everything you thought he planned. Tell me what happened.
Mark, if you want to stop, we can get off the line and
No, I'm done. I want to talk to her.
Maybe it's best if we just get...
No, I just want to talk to her.
Okay.
Okay, Mark, listen, you're doing the right thing. You take your time now, yeah?
So, you heard about the card game where Sienna came at me?
I did, yeah.
Jack had noticed something was off with me then, right? And he got me talking. I guess he saw a crack and it opened up, and I told him about my financial situation. And we had this idea. Thinking back on it, of course, it just came from him. But he said I could get myself out of the hole I dug myself if I got winter over syndrome and got the payout. And that I wouldn't actually have to get it, just pretend. And he said he'd have my back. And that I shouldn't feel bad about Keone. They weren't so innocent. Wrongs could be righted. I don't know. But I did it like a fucking idiot.
Well, so you're saying he persuaded you to fake winter over syndrome, right? So you could get your money. That was his idea?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And after it all kicked off and they locked me up and it sorted, so they'd bring me my lunch and I'd have someone to talk to, properly. And he was my fucking mate, Fuck. Oh.
Keep going, please, Mark. Then what happened?
Uh, he came in one day after Drew had been in my room asking me those fucking questions, and he said Drew was onto me, and that he knew that I didn't have Winter syndrome. And I was sitting at the end of my bed, and Jack was standing over me. He said that Drew was going to tell everyone and tell Keone that I'd been faking it. And I said he wouldn't, but he doubled down. He told me Drew's a fucking, like, a spy for Keone, like a snitch. And then he told me about his uncle.
Thomas Davies?
Yeah, like he was also ex-military. And Drew wrote this really, like, damning psych report on him and did a total number on him. And Keone had sacked him. He was never able to work on the base again. And he ended up on the dole, and everything went downhill, and he ended up staying in one of those halfway houses. You know, have you ever been to one of those, like the fucking depressing homeless addicts? And he ended up killing himself. So Jack's telling me this, and he's saying that Drew's going to fuck with my career and fuck with my life, and he'll get me prosecuted. And Jack says he's looking out for me, and he wished he could have looked out for his uncle like that, and he doesn't want to see me end up in the same way. And
God, Mark, that must have been really stressful for you. Being trapped in there, hearing all that. Really scary, yeah?
Yeah. Jack had an idea of how to square things up and stop him. He wanted revenge, and he asked if I'd help him out. He said it would help me out in the long run too. And I said I would. Yeah, I told him I had his back. Because that's how it works, you know, in the military, you look out for your guys, and Jack and I go way back. Had each other's backs then, too. Semper Fi. That's the code. You know, you save your men. Someone's in trouble, you get them out of harm's way. And there's nothing like that in the real world. In the real world, everyone cheats. You know, everyone lies. And that's why, like, on a base like this, there's a team, there's a code, and Jack told me Drew had broken it. And he said he knew what to do, but we had to keep it amongst ourselves. He told me I had to stop taking the pills so I'd be ready.
Get ready for what, Mark? What did Jack want you to do?
He said he was going to provoke an argument to piss Drew off, and then follow him when he left to go to bed. And then he'd call him aside for a word in the locker room, pretending he needed to get something from them. And then he was going to... and then he was going to hit him once with the hammer. And make it look like Drew had hit his head. And all I had to do was carry the body, carry it to the crevasse and let it fall. And it looked like he went for a walk and got lost and lost his footing and hit his head on the way down.
The plan went wrong, right? How did it go wrong?
He opens my door and he said that Drew went to fight back and went for him with the hammer or whatever, and he was going to attack him. And so Jack hit him again and again and again until he stopped fighting back.
And then what happened, Mark?
I panicked. That wasn't what we discussed. there's no way it could look like an accident after that. And there was that fucking taste in my mouth, like taste of adrenaline, and used to get from PTSD. You know, if I'm like in a car or something, and someone brakes in front of me suddenly, and my heart speeds up, and there's this taste of adrenaline in my mouth.
Are you saying you're excited by this, Mark?
No, not excited. Like, definitely not. No, it's like it's fear. Like it's whole stress on my body. It's like an old wound opening up, and that's what happened when Jack came in, and he told me to come and help. And like my heart's fucking pounding out of my chest, and I wasn't thinking straight. We went to the locker room. It's close to my room, and there's so much blood, and Drew's head is. There's blood pooling. But then Jack had to get back to the others because he can't be seen that he's gone too long, and so he cleans himself up and he tells me to deal with the rest. You know, so he left me to deal with all the fucking mess, and I had to get Drew out fast, so I couldn't put on all his layers, and his head was fucking bleeding and making more mess, and so I put on his top coat and covered his head with the hood, and I'm thinking his head doesn't look like a fucking accident, and I panicked, and it's just fucking stupid.
And what did you do next?
I carried him outside and left him there, and then I went back in to clean up, and I grabbed paper towels and cloths and wiped down the floor, and I knew I didn't have much time, and then I had to suit myself up to take him to the crevasse, and yeah, I wore Sienna's coat. I put him on one of the sleds and went as fast as I could. And I just wasn't thinking straight. I was just worrying about all the bloods and if I cleaned up enough. And I just didn't trust myself. Like, since being locked away and taking all the drugs that Jocelyn had me on, and everything's like 5 seconds behind. I mean, I fucking knew. I knew there was a tracker in that coat. I fucking panicked. And I wasn't thinking straight. It was like my body was, like my mind was floating outside of my body. And so I'm dragging Drew to the crevasse, and it hurt. I barely moved for weeks, and the wind screaming in my ears, making it harder. But at least I know that the snow is going to drift and it's going to cover my tracks. But it was a long walk with them.
Mark, are you certain that Drew was dead at this point?
You saw the photos. Like, of course he was. It was brutal what Jack had done to them. But I've seen death enough times to know.
Sure. Okay, right. Mark, can you tell me what happened when you got to the crevasse?
I pulled him up, and I just stood there looking down at it. I had him in my arms. But I'm totally fucking alone. He was so cold. I didn't want to do it, but I know time's running out and someone will notice that he's gone soon. And then they'll check for me. I just didn't have an option at that point, did I? So like I dropped him. I dropped him down. I went back to the base.
And what did you do once you were back at the base?
Took off my kit in the locker room, Sienna's coat, wiped it a bit, and then I went back to my room. Jack had left it unlocked. I just felt sick, and I just wanted to sleep.
What time was that? Can you remember?
No. The only way I could tell the time was when people brought my meals.
And then did Jack come back and visit you?
Yeah. I'm not sure I got into my room. He'd worked out roughly how long it was going to take, there and back, and he wanted to know it was done. Once he knew, he left and locked me in. And Maria, she came in and told me that Drew was dead the next morning, and she was just looked like a ghost. And I pretended I didn't understand, and I just didn't want to talk about it. She still brings me breakfast. Even after everything that's happened to her, like she just didn't fucking deserve this. I can barely look at her.
Mm-hmm. And Jack still comes to you too, does he? Has he ever discussed anything with you about the investigation? Mark?
Yeah. He brought me lunch that day, and he couldn't risk coming sooner. And he was so fucking mad. And he told me they'd found Drew because of that fucking coat, and we argued. And he blamed me. He left me in the absolute shit. But he said he'd pin it all on me if I told anyone. He said it'd tell them that I was faking it and that I killed Drew. See, these fucking... just trust the wrong people. Sympathy.
What is that? Sympathy?
Always loyal. It's a fucking joke.
Listen to me, Mark. You've done the right thing by telling us, okay? Now listen, I'm not at all doubting what you've told me. But earlier, when you said it wasn't Maria, you said you could prove it.
Yeah.
How? How do you think you can prove it, Mark? Mark, you've been through a hell of a lot. I can see that. And I can see why you feel totally betrayed. But listen, knowing what actually happened, it's going to help people, Mark. It's better for Drew's family. For Maria. To know, right? The only thing they can hope for now is justice. You understand that, I know you do. Look, if it's Jack who killed him, we want to be able to prove that. For everyone's sake, right? No more sympathy, yeah? Mark, you can do this.
So when I cleaned up, I put everything in a waste bag. bloody tissues and the cloths and the hammer that Jack had hit Drew with. I was going to throw it into the crack in the COS on my way back from Traverse, but I'm walking back and having watched Drew's body fall and I'm angry. I'm angry, and I can't get my head around what I've just done, and I'm feeling like shit, and it's like all that fucking mess that Jack had left me, and like, did he really think that I could fix it all? Like, he fucking shafted me. And this voice starts up in my head, like, what if this, what if that, like, and then I've just been stitched up, and I can't trust this fucking guy, and he seems so sure of the plan, and then he really fucks up his part so much that feels wrong and unstable, and so I get to the crack in the ice, and it's time for me to drop the bag down, and part of me wanted to come back and hand it to Johan and tell him everything that happened. But I reckon I'd just get the blame, like all of it, and Jack would stitch me up and he'd say it was nothing to do with him.
What did you do, Mark?
I pushed the bag through the crack, but not with the hammer. I took that out first.
Good, Mark. That's great. Where's the hammer now?
It's wrapped in my scarf, buried in the snow under the back steps, by the ones by the locker room exit. It's probably stupid of me, but I guess it worked. No one found it.
And will it have Jack's fingerprints on it?
Yes, it will. I never wiped it down. I only touched it with my gloves, so yeah, it will.
Good. Okay. Look, it's good that you've told me this, Mark. Naveen, could you get Johan on the line, please?
Okay, yep.
Mark, do you have anything to add before we end the interview?
Yeah, well, what happens now?
Listen, I need to go. I'm going to be back. You should stay on the line with Ronan, okay?
Listen, no, wait. What happens to me now? You can't just leave me in here with Jack. No, you can't let him come near me, detective. What happens now? Detective, what happens now?
Interview suspended. The time is 14:03 on the 27th of June, 2023.
This has been a Free Turn production. Written by Alexis Zegerman and Jonathan Meyerson. Developed and story produced by Chris Croucher and Emma Lamont. Directed and produced by Sean Williams. The associate producer was Thisbe Barnett. It was executive produced by John Hamm, Gemma Batterby, Ron Downey, Emma Lamont, Chris Croucher, and Robbie Ashcroft. And performed by Alexander Ballinger, Charlotte Christoph, Chris Croucher, Alex Clatworthy, Christopher Dane, Eddie Elks, Lisa Fox, Polly Frame, Santiago Godoy Giraldo, Atlee Gunnison, John Hamm, Wallace Hammond, Dave Hearn, Anthony Howe, Avita J, Danny Mahoney, Eddie Mann, Leemore Marrett Jr., Ronak Patani, Toby Pettit, Elle Potter, Ian Porter, Dolores Reynolds, Matt Rippey, Salvatore Scarpa, Abdul Sessi, Robert Slade, Kate Winter, and Nina Indis. The sound engineer was Lisa Fox. Sound design was by Joseph Degnan. With special thanks to Lyndon Smith and Tom Hand. Copyright 2024 by Freetown.